Hello friends, I am Anupam Sharma and today we are doing central problems of an economy. So first of all, we'll discuss why economic problems arise. So first point is resources are limited. That means all countries do not have all the resources. Some have land resources, some have water resources, some have capital resources, and some have human resources, some have good infrastructure, but all countries do not have all the resources. Second is wants are unlimited. We have unlimited wants. A person, he wants, say, scooty, then bike, then car, then branded watch, then suit, then piece of jewelry, so on and so forth. So when you consider when the whole country demands are unlimited, then what happens? Problem of demand and supply. Then sources have alternative uses. Resources have alternative uses like a piece of land. I can make home, I can make an office, I can make a factory. So when resources are utilized in many ways, then shortages occur. So here we discussed why economic problems arise. Now, due to this, all countries have to face problems, and these are what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. And this we'll discuss in detail. What to produce and in what quantity? Problem of choice. So each and every country has to decide what to produce, what uh, products it should produce, like consumer goods, producer goods. Consumer goods may be durable goods like TV, like AC, washing machine, etc. And semi-durable whose expiry is for 3 years, like electronics, like clothes, like biscuits, like chips. And then non-durable goods like milk, vegetables, and fruits. And also countries can produce producer goods. Producer goods. These goods help in production of other goods like plant and machinery, etc. So country or economy has to decide what quantity, what consumer goods are to be produced and what producer goods are to be produced. They will decide on both producer goods and consumer goods according to requirement and preferences of the people. Then after a country decides or economy decides what to produce, then it will have to decide on what quantity is to be produced. For example, two goods are being produced by a country X and Y. If and we also assume that country has resources worth 100 crores. If production of X is to be increased, then production of Y will have to be decreased, and vice versa. Why? Because resources are limited only in this example 100 crore. If it wants to increase production of say X, then some resources from Y product will be shifted towards production of X. So country will have to make choice first what to produce and then quantity to be produced. Then how to produce, problem of technique. Countries have to decide whether they should use labor intensive technique or capital intensive technique. Labor intensive means more labor is being used and less capital. And capital means more machines are being used and less labor. So country like India should use more labor, so that, or it should use labor intensive technique so that people get employment. But problem will remain. If population is large and you are using labor intensive technique, then employment will increase, but growth will be compromised. Growth will rate will decline because you are using labor intensive technique. They are less efficient technique than capital intensive technique. People will get employment, no doubt, but growth may be compromised. Then capital intensive technique. Here more of machines are being used. This is beneficial in countries like America or Britain where population is not so high as in India. So labor intensive technique uh, in India, we wish to use here labor intensive technique. At the same time, economy will have to decide where they can use labor intensive technique and where they can use capital intensive technique, so that people get employment and growth rate is also high. Here in capital intensive technique, they lack human resources, so they are developed nations, they use machines, but sometimes they lack labor, so they might have problem in producing goods and services they wish to produce. For whom to produce? Problem of distribution. Country has to decide whether to produce for rich, for poor, or for middle class. If country decides to, say for example, produce for rich people, then growth rate will be high because there will savings would rise, investment would rise, and then uh, production will rise, no doubt. But poor and middle class will suffer. Their standard of living may fall. And if country decides to produce for poor and middle class, their standard of living will be high, but they will have less of savings, less investment, and low growth rate. So country will have to think how much they should produce for rich people and how much for middle class and lower class. Then according to paying capacity, if people are rich in the country, if country is rich, they would produce luxury goods. And if country is poor, then they'll have to think about poor people. If goods are produced for poor, social justice is achieved, but profit of producer will fall, means low investment and growth rate will be low. Then distribution among different factors of production. What are factors of production? Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. When a producer, entrepreneur wishes to produce goods and services, he will employ land, labor, capital, means machines, and he might have to take loan also. So land will get rent, labor wages, capital interest, and of course entrepreneur profit. So how income will be distributed among all factors of production. So students, if you like my video, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to press bell icon button. Thank you.